The opinions expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's... And that's how it begins. Let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native, the show that shares news and interesting content related to Kubernetes, Cloud Native, and other nifty technology. My name is Adrian Goins. This is last week's title because. And I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm a little bit tired today, but honestly, I'm excited. If you're watching live, consider following or subscribing to the channel. And if you're watching a replay in the future, please also give the video a thumbs up so the YouTube algorithm shares it with other people. Join the free community site and the Discord server. I'll pop that back up for you. Snap it with your phone. It'll take you to the link. And yeah, so live chat happens in Discord with a bot that relays between YouTube and Twitch. You can come hang out with us either during the show or after. And the live chat's been going crazy all morning. So let's take a moment to say hello to the people who have, in some cases, been waiting for like 3.5 hours for us to start the show. Oh my gosh, it's madness over there. Good morning, WifeBot. Mose, Ian, hello. Doc Forever. Steve G, hello. With the nice, what is that, house gif? I've never actually seen that show. Nuno, Dirk, welcome Dirk. Restreambot, we got Mac there. We got Mac here as well. We have Chrysalis. Bala, Marco, Rob. Wow, we have a lot of people here today. Stephen K, hello. Frank, James P. I saw some people rolling in from YouTube earlier. Thank you all for joining us today. If you were here last Thursday, you saw the show collapse for various reasons. And then we were off on Friday. We were off yesterday. We're back today. And let's start with some quick little tiny news. I have a dilemma. I love doing the show. I do the show every single day, and it takes a lot of time to produce it. And I would like to do some other things. I'd like to maybe make a Udemy course or some other content-related stuff. So I'm thinking that I'm going to drop the show to 2 days a week, to maybe Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Thursday. And I'd like to know in the live chat, all of you crazy people, which you would prefer. Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday? Oh, and somebody just posted a gif of somebody collapsing. Dirk says, good. Brendan says Tuesday, Thursday. Mac, we'll talk about the hot seat in a second. Monday, Thursday. Okay, Tuesday, Thursday. I should have actually made this a vote. Because now I'm going to have to scroll back through and see what people want. Okay, so, you know what? I'll tell you what. I will actually run this as a vote in the community site, and we'll collect your input. So we'll have the next show on Thursday, and then, yeah. What a terrible way to end a sentence. Now, today is actually last Thursday, which is really confusing unless you were here last Thursday and you remember that it was the hot seat. So the hot seat, Ellibot ran a 5-minute giveaway. Chrysalis won and came on the show, or there was something, I don't know, then whatever, there was drama. Anyway, we posted it, we punted it to today. I was actually going to move this to Thursday's hot seat, but Chrysalis won't be able to join us on Thursday, so today we're doing the hot seat. Thursday I have something else planned for you. In order to participate in Thursday's thing, make sure that you chat enough in Discord that you reach level 5. If you are at level 5 or higher, then you can participate in Thursday's event. So you just have to talk. It's easy to do. And with that, let me see. I think I already have Chrysalis here. Stefan, are you with me?
I am.
Awesome! We set it up in advance so that y'all didn't have to spend several minutes with me trying to figure out how to do this. Okay, so I am joined today by Stefan, who is Chrysalis in Discord, and he won the hot seat giveaway last week. So let's start out by, Stefan, if you could just introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about yourself, and if there's anybody that you want to say hi to since you're on television, the floor is yours.
Thanks. So I'm Stefan. I'm in South Africa. I've been using Kubernetes for the past 5 years about now. And the last few positions I held was always to bring a company into the world of containerization and some new cloud native technologies. In my spare time, I cycle a bit. Yeah, that's about it. Just want to say hi to Nuno, who's always encouraging me to do this. So I'm finally here. And
Awesome.
thanks to you and Lifebot for always hosting the show for us.
Ah, it is our pleasure. But it's really all of you who make the show what it is. Like, I could do the show to an empty auditorium and it just wouldn't be the same. I love that all of you join every single day. And like, even today I was feeling a little tired. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do the show, but I know that as soon as it starts and all the energy that's in Discord, like, I end the show high and happy. It's a great way to start the day. And let's actually start the day. I'm not even going to do the A/B test intro. You all know what it is. There's content, and actually the beginning of it's the same content that we had for last week, plus some new content from last night. Let me get. I don't even remember how to run the show. I've been gone for like 3 days, and you know what? I got to say the thing, because there might be people who are watching who don't know how it works. So, A/B test. Collectorbots have gathered candidates for the show. Trufflebot has scored them from 1 to 5 coffees. He'll post them one at a time in Discord. Anyone watching live can rate them. Your votes are used to train the machine learning model that chooses content for the show. So, get in there and vote. And today we are starting with the same thing that we started with last week. Let me get on the browser here. So we started last week with Capsule Proxy, which I want to start with again today because I deleted the broken shows from last week, and I still think this is a very cool thing. Capsule is a multi-tenancy solution for Kubernetes. It's not the only one that's out there. It's one of several. They all do the same thing in a little bit of a different way, and I don't have anything bad to say about any of them. I think that all of their solutions are fantastic. Capsule Proxy, so the gentleman from Celastix reached out to me after I had something else from Capsule on the show and said that they have this, which is a way to get RBAC proxying to cluster scoped resources for namespaces that are doing multi-tenancy. And I think it's a really neat solution to a problem with multi-tenancy, which is why I'm putting it on the show again. So, Stefan, do you do anything with multi-tenancy in your Kubernetes clusters, and have you used any of these kinds of solutions?
We've tried to use some multi-tenancy in the past. Generally, we were very open, so we decided that it wasn't technically multi-tenancy, it was mostly team-based, but to try to put some borders around. But in the end, it just seems simpler to run everything open. I'm still an advocate of sometimes you need to lock down some borders and give people a fence behind which they can hide some of their bad things.
The solutions for multi-tenancy seem to be like either use a solution like this or just make multiple clusters. And when you guys were exploring multi-tenancy solutions, did you consider multiple clusters and decide against that for a specific reason?
Yeah, we did look at that, and we went against it because the overhead of managing multiple clusters, especially when some of the teams only have like 2 or 3 projects running, you have to host a cluster for 2 or 3 projects, which is really a waste of resources.
And I see that Trufflebot still isn't voting today, which is super annoying. Hang on a second. Trufflebot not voting because all right, hang on. I'm so sorry. The thing that does the QR code is not working for some reason. Which is going to totally break our ability to move through content. Wow, we have like 43 people watching. Why? Streamword, CL Marcus, and QR code. That totally should be working. All right, well, if we don't get voting, let's see what happens if I try to move to the next item. Does it work? Oh, waiting for Adrian to vote. So frustrating when the bots don't work. All right, so this happened on Thursday, and I tried to bring it down to my local machine, and it still didn't work, and then the show collapsed. How can I get past this? I can get past this by just posting it myself into the chat. So give me just a second here, and UI get-E108. All right, so we get no voting today, and I'm sorry for that, but we will at least get live. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to switch back to the live chat channel, and I'll post links there. So next up, we have... This is actually old news. It's from last week. It's old news, but we didn't have a show last Thursday or Friday. So this is, everybody was talking about how RHEL is now free for up to 16 production servers. Technically, this is just an extension of their developer network thing, but you can run up to 16 instances from your developer network account for free, which is significant since a RHEL license is something, it's like several $100s. I don't know where it's at right now. It's somewhere between 800 and 1200 or whatever. I think this is really smart. A really good marketing move on Red Hat's part, even though I don't run RHEL. What do you think, Stefan?
Yeah, I believe it's a good move from their side to buy some of the community back again. I used to run RHEL years ago, and it was a nice, stable operating system, but too slow moving to my liking. So, but I think it's nice that they're opening up the full RHEL license to up to 16 nodes. That should cover most of the smaller companies.
What operating system what Linux flavor do you guys run now?
At work, we run Debian, a mix between Stretch and Buster. And at home, it's usually Ubuntu or Gen 2 if I'm really up for it.
Ooh, you're a Gen 2 user. I was a Gen 2 user back in the day. I moved from FreeBSD to Gen 2 because I liked the stability of driver support in Linux, but I liked the hands-on nature of FreeBSD. So it was like Gen 2 was like FreeBSD Linux with the eMerge being more like ports. And then I switched to Ubuntu when I got tired of doing an unnecessary amount of work just to maintain Linux systems for myself and all of my clients. And I stuck with Ubuntu. Do you think that something like this is going to get people to consider moving to RHEL? Or do you think this is just a way to keep people from moving away from RHEL?
I think it's more of a keep people from moving away from RHEL. Honestly, there's very little that they offer besides the enterprise support that would make me consider RHEL over any other operating system packages I can get anyway. So.
Okay, next up we have, paste these in the chat so people can see them. Next up, we have something that's not new, but this came up for me this weekend, and I like to bring it back on the show periodically because when you have a problem where you go to delete a namespace from Kubernetes and it's just stuck in a terminating state, most of the information you find online says, oh yeah, go in there and delete the finalizer, which is really, really bad. And we've had stuff on the show that explains like why that could be really bad, and it leaves orphaned resources out there. So I just wanted to throw this back up there to say that there are things that you can do to identify what is causing the namespace to hang and go in and fix those things. And before I show an example of that, Stefan, have you ever encountered this? And have you ever just deleted the finalizer? You don't have to admit the second part if you don't want
to. I have encountered it, and I've never just deleted the finalizer. The finalizer is there for a reason. It's generally been you go in, you dig out, you find the resources that's keeping it from deleting, and you get rid of those.
Yep. In my early Kubernetes days, I deleted the finalizer, but I don't do that anymore. And the problem that I had was this weekend, I was working on migrating all of my home automation stuff from Home Assistant with Z-Wave controller into Z-Wave to MQTT, and then feeding that into Node-RED. So it changed the names of everything, and I had to go and bring a whole bunch of stuff over, and I was putting more things into my cluster, and then there was some crufty resources. I saw that I still had an old Gatekeeper installation, and I went to delete that, and it just refused to delete. And so I actually went through all of these steps, and they didn't work. Well, they sort of worked. They basically showed that there was nothing in the system that was holding on to the Gatekeeper namespace, but yet there were all of these things in here. Whoops. And what I found, so when you come up to the finalizer, I discovered that the finalizer was actually not a Kubernetes thing that was holding on to anything. It was controller.cattle.io/namespace auth. And I was like, well, that's interesting. That's Rancher. And then I went and discovered that to get more resources for my home Kubernetes cluster, I actually shut down a whole bunch of other VMs, including the Rancher server. So it was just waiting on Rancher to bless the deletion of the namespace, and I fired up the Rancher server, it blessed it, and then the namespace deleted. So that was my experience with this, which is why I decided to throw that back on the show. Next, we have... I'm so going to fire Trufflebot later. Paste this in the chat for y'all. There you go. So next up is a series of articles from Scott Jones, and this is actually part 5, talking about how to build reliable Kubernetes on a Raspberry Pi cluster. And in this article, he's talking about security. He gives an example of a situation where, he might have something inside of Node-RED. Again, we're doing a lot of work with Node-RED, where somebody could unlock his front door if they were able to gain access to his systems. So the rest of the article talks about how to implement OAuth he uses Google, and then how he gives a real world example of binding that to the admin panel for Traffic. I like this because it shows using it in a home environment, and I think that security, it's easy to neglect security when we're in a house, when it's like, oh, I'm the only one who ever has access to it. But in many cases, like the personal things that our clusters are securing are important because we do them for convenience, and security is still, it's important. So having an easy path into that is good. So that's the good part. The thing that I'm unclear about, I feel I'm conflicted, is that this has a dependency on something that's outside of the house. So just throwing out options. Can you run an OAuth server locally? Is that a good idea? Does OAuth fail open? I don't know because I've never actually used it. And is there a better way to accomplish the same thing? What do you think, Stefan?
So coincidentally, I've been looking at setting up a new Kubernetes cluster at home on Raspberry Pis, and authentication is generally one of those things that I need to figure out. I've done OAuth in the past for services that sat behind Traffic, but in this case, I wanted to be an isolated system. Some of the tools I looked at is Dex, and I failed to remember what the other one is. Another friend of mine spoke about Ophelia, which I still need to go and check out. But yeah, generally I would run something internal. You don't want to be locked out of your house when when the power is out or the internet's gone down, which is something that happens a lot in my country.
Yeah, me too. Here's Dex, the thing that you mentioned. If I were going to roll this out in my house, I would look for something that I already have in the house that has an authentication engine built in, and I would start with the Synology NASes that I have, and see if I can bind OAuth to that, or maybe just has a package already. But I agree that for things in-house, I want to make sure that I have access in-house. We've been watching a lot of the YouTube channel from the Lockpicking Lawyer. I don't know if have you ever seen him?
Oh, yes, awesome show.
He's amazing, and he has he had a video about how to pick-proof your quickset lock, and there's another Heinz, there's another system that uses it where basically if somebody tries to pick it it's more likely to get picked into a place where it actually seizes, and then it requires lock disassembly, which seems great because like people, they can't pick your lock, or it's obvious if they've tried. The bad part is that it prevents the key from working. So if you come home and you find that somebody tried to pick your lock is seized, you have to figure out how to break into your house. And does that really stop an attacker? Like if he can't pick your lock, is he just going to throw a brick through the window? And did you really do anything other than maybe you have to throw a brick through the window? I see the OAuth thing as kind of the same thing. Like you build this great security system that depends on a resource outside of your house, and when the internet goes down, you're cooked. Next is something that I am interested in. Give me a second to post this over here. What do people use for messaging in South Africa? Are they using like iMessage and text message, or do they use WhatsApp or Telegram? What's the popular platform?
It's been WhatsApp up until recently, and I've seen lots of people move over to Telegram. And I don't actually know about Signal, but I do know that it's also one of the other messaging platforms that the big exodus is having out to. Businesses are using WhatsApp quite a bit.
Yeah, Chile is all WhatsApp. People in the United States don't know anything about WhatsApp. They're just all on text messaging, and that's fine. Signal, in my experience, has had issues in the past. It seems to be more stable now, but I had a big problem with Signal not delivering notifications. It was a couple of years ago, which is why I moved off of it. Signal does do end-to-end encryption, which is nice. Telegram does not by default, which is not nice. I'm sure that those who monitor the submarine cables are totally thrilled that people are moving over to Telegram. I'm seeing a lot of stuff about Matrix as the back-end platform. We had some bridge things on, like Mattermost Bridge and stuff a couple of weeks ago, but this popped up. First of all, if I scroll down to the bottom, this is created by one of the partners at Y Combinator, the guy that created the Pebble Watch. And it's a multi-chat platform built on top of Matrix, so it uses all of the Matrix bridges. And although they're selling it for $10 a month, they have also made available all of the configuration for you to host this yourself. And basically, it's a Matrix server and a bunch of bridges, but they've already done all of the heavy lifting for you, and it will bridge to all of these platforms. Currently just 15 of them, but they're adding new networks every few weeks. Signal is in this, which is why I keep coming back to these. I think it's this icon here on the left. The thing that I've seen about Signal Signal actually has a daemon, so you can run Signal D. I thought that was interesting. WhatsApp, though, is still going to require that you have your phone authenticated, and it's going to be some middleware. So it doesn't solve the privacy issue, but I like that it solves the multi-platform issue in a portable fashion. What do you think of it?
I especially like the fact that it'll solve the multi-platform issue. That's generally a problem. You have to find something that will always keep all the different messaging platforms on my PC going, and the same for my phone as well. And it would be great if I could just have one tool that hooks into all of that. I have one place where I could see all the messages. So this definitely solves a big problem.
For my Mac, I strongly recommend. There used to be an app called Franz, and then they were free, and then they went paid. And I switched over to an app called Rambox. And they have a free one that I used for years that's fantastic. They have a paid version that gives you some additional features. I never needed them. When I did, I switched over to them. They support tons and tons and tons and tons of things. And this is what I use for desktop messaging, because I also hate having all these different applications open using resources just for occasionally when I need to use them. So if you haven't checked out Rambox, I recommend that. And this also, it's not a Mac only thing. It'll work on Linux and Windows because it's it's an Electron app or something. Okay, we are at the tool of the day time, so it's time for me to let you go. You were a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for putting up with being punted from last week. Would you like to say anything? Say any farewells before I boot you off the show?
Just thanks for the show. Keep doing the great work, and glad to have been here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody, that was Stefan. Big round of applause. Chrysalis in the chat. And we look forward to having him on again in the future. He won't be joining us on Thursday. So on Thursday, we can talk about him, and he'll never know. So that takes us now to the next button. Trufflebot and I are going to have words after the show. Today's tool of the day is neat. This is called Log for Brains. And it is a markdown-based documentation engine that uses what are called architecture decision records to document architectural decisions. When choosing things, it's easy to make a choice or to try a bunch of different stuff and then make a choice and not document those. Now, I work on personal projects, but the stuff for the show, more people are starting to participate in. And a solution like Log4Brains allows me to very quickly note why I chose to use a particular thing. Why did we switch from just direct MySQL statements to SQL Alchemy ORMs and rebuild everything as models? Why am I using Dataiku DSS instead of TensorFlow? Why? And an ADR, so this whole, first of all, it's just Markdown, but it's very easy to use, which means that people are more likely to use it. And then when the project is made visible to other people in the future, they can review the history of stuff. ADRs can supersede previous ADRs, so you can have something where a decision was changed, and then you can say, okay, we were using MySQL statements, and now we're using... None of those links have worked. I should have taken that off a long time ago. So we were using MySQL statements, and now we're using SQL Alchemy ORM. So they get marked. And let me pull up. I don't have a local one that I can pull up for you, but where are their examples? ADRs. What is an ADR? Okay, maybe I'll just fire up a local one really quick here. The other thing that I did with this that was super cool is a couple weeks ago on the show, I had Node env, which showed you how you can enslave NPM installations underneath a Python virtual environment. And I used that for this. So I have a virtual environment, and then underneath that, a Node environment that's all encapsulated inside of the same directory. So Log4Brains preview will open up, should hopefully open up. No? Technology. Well, I should have set that up before the show. Okay, let me see if I can find... Oh, I already have one running. That's why. Well, that's easy. Then I should just be able to come over here and go localhost 4004. And this takes me to one of them for my GitOps environment here at the house. So you can see here what it looks like. I'm going to blow this up so that you can actually see it. So over here you get this really nice roadmap that has dates for the various items, and then they all have a status. When you do Log4Brains new, it gives you a new one that has a template that you just fill in the things that you want and delete the things that you don't. So it's like context and problem statement. When expanding the GitOps subsystem to multiple clusters, how can I best avoid duplication of resources between the cluster subdirectories? Decision drivers. These are the things that I want. Considered options. Symlinks, duplicating files, using customize. And what I decided on was to use customize within Flux v2 and point to things that have a common thing and then use them as bases and patches and so on. This is what I worked on this weekend, including documenting how the layout of Flux v2 works, because when you look at it, it's not necessarily intuitive. And when that changes in the future, I'll just make a new thing, and this all gets committed in a docs directory with the repository for all of the content. It's trivial to set it up. You can make it as complicated and detailed as you want, or you can make it as simple as you want, just documenting why you made the decisions that you did. I think that it's a fantastic solution, and even though you all can't vote on it, there's your tool of the day. And with that, my friends, we're out of here. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the video in the future. Links to everything that I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cncn.io after the show ends. Come join us. Community members get early access to the links, video replay, and other exclusive content. If you have something that you would like me to consider for the show, post it in the community site or in the show's suggestions channel in Discord. Have a great day, everyone. Keep learning. The next show is on Thursday. I will see you then, and hopefully Trufflebot voting will work. I don't know what his issue is. Anyway, we're going to fix that. Stay caffeinative.